we had a lot of information shared in the past couple of days about things coming to Marvel Strike Force. During that time, we've seen a lot of discussion. There is definitely some concerns out there in the community. And so today, we're just going to try to do our best to address some of those, allay some of those fears if we can, and go ahead and agree with you when we can. Let's go ahead and get into the information. Again, we just did a search of the internet, came up with some basic thoughts, things that are on people's mind, and this is what we found. We have 10 points that we want to cover. Point number 1, Insta-Wipe mechanics. There seems to be a deep hatred for the 100 rage that Maestro will get that equals that instant loss. Makes players feel like their roster power doesn't matter. So again, I can get where this is coming from. I get where this is coming from. One of the things that we don't want, obviously, is to put time investment into the team. We get into the event and we get this automatic loss. That's what it feels like to some people. I can appreciate that. I would encourage us to maybe just think a little bit about how it's going to go. This is going to be a new experience. And because it's new, we don't have anything to balance it on. We don't have anything to test it against just yet. It's going to be a new experience. We're supposed to take advantage of that window between that 0 and that 100. Learning how to play against that boss is something that we're going to have to learn. It's going to be a learning experience. The first round or two is going to be frustrating. But keep in mind, the individual dead, we would have 5 attacks, right? I guess he didn't guarantee that, but he illustrated 5 attacks, same as any other Battleworld boss. And we'll be learning the ebb and flow of different teams, how we can work our way through that Maestro KO. Because remember, the goal initially is to just get one boss kill. So if we have 5 attacks, we're trying to do 20% damage on average to the boss. We'll have to see how it goes, right, for each of those attacks. Our goal is to get that one kill. So we'll see how it goes. This is something, again, that is very common in many role-playing games that have taken place over the years, many online right now. This is something that we will adjust to. We'll get better at it. We'll get used to fighting and farming the boss in different ways with the different teams. But we do understand the concern in this matter. Keep the questions coming. Point number 2, forced Daring Warriors investment. There's high resentment about having to level a specific team just to participate in Continent 3. Makes sense? That is indeed a valid argument. We do want to see if we can hone in on some of the information there. Be mindful that it isn't just the Daring Warriors that we can use to play Continent number 3. We can use any team that we want. Remember, they explained that the daily events are broken into 2 main types of missions: there's standard missions, elite missions. For the elite missions, yes, you must have the Daring Warriors. For the standard missions and for the mini boss, we have to see what those requirements are. It looks like it will be a lot more open because the developer did say that people who did not have that team, if they chose not to have the Daring Warriors, then they would still have these standard missions and the mini boss, it appears, to use. We should be able to make some type of progress in that manner. They recognize that people will be coming to the game. They might not have that team. Again, time dependent. Little Gideon, he does have it, but it's not going to be the same as my main account. So we will have other teams that we can use. However, they're making it very clear that, yes, the Daring Warriors will be the most effective team. They're the Battleworld team. They will be used in those elite missions. And it sounds like they will be the only team that can be used in the elite missions. And the elite missions will give us the most effects against the boss, against Maestro. Now, keep in mind, we don't know what those boss perks are going to be like. In my mind, I envision them in some point allowing us to do some of the things that we are cautioned against, like maybe being able to land that ability block, maybe being able to put a stun, defense down, things of that nature. Maybe we'll be able to maintain our positive effects. We don't know. If that is the case, and they're not specifically tied to the Daring Warriors, that would mean over time, more and more teams could be usable on the boss. Again, this is just speculation. It seems highly irregular that everything would be funneled into the Daring Warriors, But over time, since we have the Daring Warriors, it makes more sense that over time we would be able to expand the use of more and more of our roster once we understand the weaknesses that we're generating against that boss. This is a shift in our thinking. It does pigeonhole things a bit. I would say, though, on the other side of the coin, they're at least letting us know. And they're showing us that if we invest in this team, there are positive results. Point number 3, control immunity. There's frustration that standard strategy that's done, ability block blind, is punished rather than just being ineffective. Again, I appreciate that. It does seem a little bit strange that these individual abilities are singled out and will cause the boss to harm us further instead of them just simply not being able to be used. I would think that, again, just knowing how video games work, and most of us are gamers, we understand that, knowing how video games work, those abilities more than likely in some way with some of those boss perks or things of that nature will be able to be used against Maestro at some point. Somehow we're going to have to unlock it. Maybe it's only for one turn. Maybe it does less rage. Maybe it doesn't stick like the rest. But again, it does less rage. Or maybe if we have one of those abilities applied, then some of the other abilities that we're not supposed to be able to use can be used. We don't know. But there's a lot of games where mechanics like this are just used as, the individual user term keys, and they're just used as ramp ups, those keys to do more damage to the boss. The bosses have these rage mechanics, and then abilities like this in most games open these windows of opportunity for you to do incredible damage. And as you progress, you're able to force those windows open wider and wider. I assume, I don't know, I haven't been able to test it, I haven't seen it, but I assume that something like that would be true of the Maestro, just knowing what we know about other video games. But I understand that there is frustration in not understanding why we can't use these abilities, why these actually do harm to us when these other ones are not considered. Hopefully we'll get a better answer as we get into the boss and see some of these perks that they spoke about. Next point, the iterate philosophy. Players are tired of being beta testers for modes that are launched broken and fixed later. Again, I understand that. Nobody wants to spend time and money on a hobby and it doesn't work, right? We're playing a game and it doesn't work. You don't want to go and buy, like if you're into fishing, you don't want to go somewhere, you buy this fishing pole, it's supposed to be good. Every time you use it, the line comes off the spool. The line comes off the spool. The line comes off the spool. It's some type of mistake, right? You take it back to the store, you get a new one, line comes off the spool, line comes off the spool. So either now it's an operator error, either I'm doing something wrong or it's a design flaw. And when we find out, especially that it is that thing, that latter, that it's a design flaw, that's very disheartening. I get that 100%, 100%. However, I do feel compelled to speak a little bit about the iterate philosophy. It's something that we've been doing since the beginning. And I'm not just talking about Marvel Strike Force. This is just how things grow. Things develop over time. We don't notice it as much when it's going good, but we definitely notice it when it's going bad. I think somebody gave the illustration of Super Mario Brothers. They said, do you remember when Super Mario Brothers came out and the game was done and it worked? Well, yeah, I remember that. I grew up about that same time. Games were different then, but arguably not. See, we could go play a platform game. We could go play Marvel Rivals or something like that. We could go play another platform game that's just integrated its own thing, and that'd be fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not what Marvel Strike Force is. See, Marvel Strike Force is a live service game. They continue, as they say, to iterate. They make changes based on what they find that we like and what we don't like. And keep in mind, this is not a new thing. Perhaps we didn't know, but Super Mario Brothers was not the first Mario Brothers title. Look it up. There was an original Mario Brothers, no Super. There was an original Mario Brothers. The game wasn't very good. They took what they knew, they found out what people liked, found out what they didn't, and then they created Super Mario Brothers. It was a hit. See, they iterated. It was a hit. Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3. There's Super Mario Brother World, Super Mario Brother Galaxy. Now we got movies. based on it. Mario Kart, Mario Party. Do you remember any of those? Did you play any of those titles? See, that's what happens with, again, the iteration philosophy. I get it. In the middle, there's a pain point when we know when it's bad, but we also got to keep in mind when it's good. And the way it can get better, if we're enjoying Marvel Strike Force, the way it can get better is we got to give that good feedback. And what we mean by that is you got to say what you like and why, and what you don't and why. It's okay. But if you find that the game is tiring you, if it's making you feel negative, if you walk away from content feeling negative, it's okay to stop playing Marvel Strike Force and go do something else. It's okay. We're in the summertime. There's lots to do outside. Take advantage of that. But if you feel passionate enough that you want to speak on these things, remember, give the good feedback. This is what I liked and why. This is what I didn't and why. Bottlenecking, a feeling that the game economy, gold, training materials can't keep up with the required teams for Battleworld. Now, this is a big feeling in the community right now. And there's a lot of pressure there. I understand that. I totally do. I have prided myself over the course of time with this game, being able to give people the nice, excellent, I don't want to say bulletproof, but a really good model on how to progress through the game. It made perfect sense to me. I rarely ran into the issues and the problems that most people ran into. And so I felt really, really confident in doing that. However, now, especially recently with the Age of Fear, I do not have that same confidence. I don't have that same assured feeling. I'm not sure how the economy is going to work. And obviously, if I'm feeling it, I recognize that other people are feeling it too. So I would just try to stay tuned to different individuals, different information. Everything is intentional. They are giving us enough gold and training materials to do something. We're just not sure exactly what that is, right? Whatever they're giving it to us, they feel that it's adequate. They feel that it's adequate to do something, to do whatever it is we need to do. We're just not sure at this time exactly what that is. So stay tuned, talk amongst yourself. That's usually how things go. Share information. It's easy to talk negative. It's easy to talk about people, but how do we make things better? That's just a general idea of how we live life, especially as men, especially as older men. What experience do we have? How can we proceed? How can we make things better? What is necessary? What does my experience show? And as we get that information out there, it will assure and reassure the community as a whole. In the meantime, right, that's all we can do is just keep working together. I think we'll be okay. As far as Battleworld goes, Battleworld probably is the least of our concerns. We know that we need the Daring Warriors. We don't know anything else until we start seeing the nodes. Point number 6, simming Battleworld. A growing demand for Battleworld to be simmable because the manual combat feels tedious. Fair enough. I understand that. In fact, we have an individual, Mr. Major, he comments in my channel a lot, and he's continually asking for everything to be simmable. Now, he recognizes that might not always give you the optimal result, right? Some people want sim because they don't want to do anything. He's just saying, hey, I know it might not be the most optimal result, but sometimes people are crunched for time, and some result is better than no result. And perhaps that's how you feel. If you're feeling that time crunch, I understand that. Go ahead and put comments on this. I know that there are certain members of the community that push against this a lot, but those individuals do not understand the community feeling as a whole. And so if the community as a whole would prefer things to have that sim option, there's no reason in my mind why they shouldn't. You're understanding, right? This is with the understanding that it might not be the most productive option. We're just maybe are busy, and sometimes something is better than nothing. Again, I get it. There's days where literally I'll start my day 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and here it is now 9 o'clock at night, and I haven't picked up my phone. I haven't picked up my phone. I have days like that. So it would be good if maybe I would be able to sim some things and just take what I can, right? That would be good. I also would like that. However, don't feel the pressure to do it. Maybe we can talk more with Scopely, Battleworld, depending on how those days go, right? We'll have to see how it goes. How much effort does it take to get through those standard missions, attack that mini boss? How much effort does it take to do those elite missions? If it's traded 1-for-1 and our workload doesn't increase, maybe that's fine. If we have the opportunity to do all of those things, and maybe it's expected to do all those things, would it be better maybe if Battleworld was extended over the course of 2 days for each of those zones? Right? If it's a 4-day event, could it maybe be stretched out to an 8-day event? And then we might have plenty of time to work on those zones and not be compressed into that 24-hour time frame. Because I get it. Sometimes there's days where you just don't have enough time. And as far as the manual combat feeling tedious, they're saying that they're going to alleviate that. They don't want us to just sim and auto through the nodes. So hopefully that means that they're shorter, they're more compact, and easier to come by. Either we're able to do it or we're not, kind of thing. That's what I'm hoping to see. We'll have to see when it shows up. But again, please comment, especially on this section here, Player Voice Discord, on the main Marvel Strike Force Discord, wherever you get information. But make sure that the information is good. This is what I like and why. This is what I don't and why. Point 7, power creep redundancy. Complaints that the older Battleworld metas, like Jeff the Landshark and our War Tower Progress, feel immediately invalidated by the new content. This is an interesting take, and I understand what the poster is saying. We have a new Battleworld, and the way it looks, the retcon team may not be as effective. It says it's immediately invalidated by the new content. I agree with that sentiment again to a degree. We need to keep in mind this is a live service game. It's always moving forward. But the immediate invalidation, I think, might be saying a bit more. That might be a little bit stronger than what's actually the case. We'll have to look and see what happens. Will retcon get some type of buff the same way that the Daring Warriors do? Will negative effects get some type of buff, right? If we get to the point where we're able to land negative effects, right, but some of those boss modifications, and it's not necessarily tied to the Daring Warriors, then that opens up the possibility for other teams. The developer did mention he wanted teams like Maestro, Brimstone, individuals had invested in those teams to get something from that. Maybe he was speaking metaphorically, in a sense, he's talking about Battleworld teams and only talking about Daring Warriors, or maybe he's trying to help us to appreciate we might still have some use for some of those older teams. They shouldn't perform as well as the newest team. That doesn't make sense, but maybe we can still get some use out of them. The game overall is changing. We spent a lot of time in the simmable on auto method. A lot of us got used to that, but that isn't what Marvel Strike Force originally was. What we're dealing with now looks a lot more like the game many of us recognize, and so that might be different from what we're used to. So if the game is no longer tasteful for us, that's okay. That's all right. If we want to go do something else, that's of course fine as well. If we want to, again, make a case, make a statement as to why things should be different, I'm all for that, for sure. But I don't think that the characters, right, as we move up the scale in power creep, that's just how the games are played, right? There's Pokemons out now, right? New Pokemon series of cards. So with the new series that just came out, what happens? Somewhere along the line, there's another set of cards that now is no longer useful for tournament play. That's just how these things go. But to say that immediately the retcon team has been invalidated, we can't say that. We haven't seen the nodes. We don't know what things look like. I understand the concern. We're going to have to see what happens. Point number 8, anti-theory crafting. The strict kit of Maestro discourages creative team building, forcing players into a specific developer-intended solution. So again, this is something I understand. Many people feel this way. Off the top, right? It's easy to get that idea. It's very easy to get that impression right off the top. They said during Warriors, if we were to play a raid node, for example, if the raid node says Insidious 6, then that's what it is, right? That's the only people you can use is the Insidious 6. So when the developers say during Warriors, it gives us the opinion that's all we can use. And it looks like for some of those missions, yes, that is indeed correct. But when we're talking about the Maestro, creative team building actually might be the best thing about the character. We're going to have to see again how it works. We're going to get multiple attacks, even attacking with the daring warriors. We got to figure out what works, what doesn't, look for those windows of opportunity to strike. Once we understand how the boss works, then it starts to get easier to build and theory craft other teams. I'm very confident that once these boss perks start showing up and we start seeing what they are, we can start leaning into different type of team builds. For example, we know that the basic ability the Maestro has shrugs off the bleeds and hands them to us. What if there's a mod that says that that doesn't happen? Or we know, for example, that when he does his special, then he will not shrug off the bleeds. So is there a team that we can put together that are able to transfer a bunch of bleeds to him on that's about 3 turns? It's something to think about. See, it'll just be different. When we talk about theory crafting, it'll just be different. We'll now be building for windows of opportunity, putting teams and characters together that have these windows of opportunity for us to strike or provide windows of opportunity for us to defend ourselves so we can last longer till the end of the fight and do as much damage as possible. We're not going to know until we see it, but I really do indeed think that theory crafting is something that they're bringing back to Marvel Strike Force in a big way, and we're going to be able to take advantage of it with the Maestro. Point number 9, trust issues. A general sense that content creators are hyping up a mode that players feel is inherently flawed. Understood. I get that, right? I'm a content creator and I enjoy Marvel Strike Force. And it's very odd sometimes, right? I'll get a lot of negative feedback because I said that I enjoyed something. And again, I would say in this instance, I understand the trust issues to a degree, but maybe we need to perhaps police who it is that we're spending time with. We'll just be very blunt on this. When you watch a content creator, do you walk away from the content feeling energized, feeling refreshed, feeling hyped? Or do you walk away feeling sad? Do you walk away feeling angry? Do you walk away feeling frustrated? It may be that the individual that we're spending time with, right? Just because we have a friend, that doesn't mean that they are a good friend. Some people you see every day, some people you see every week, some people you see every month, some people you see every year. Some people, you just see them when you see them. We only have so much time in a day, only got so much time in life. So being around individuals, whether in person or sharing with them through social media, if those individuals make us feel negative on a regular basis, perhaps we need to spend time with other people or spend time elsewhere. Individuals who are hyping up the game mode actually enjoy Marvel Strike Force. And we recognize that there's some in the community that don't. I don't know why those individuals are still playing the game after 8 years. I don't know why certain people are still creating content after 8 years if they don't actually enjoy the game. I don't feel that the game mode is inherently flawed. If there's problems with it, yeah, let's talk about that. There's a few times when we get to test things as envoys, we get to give our feedback. If we think there's an actual flaw, let's talk about that. But again, we have to make sure that we're giving that good feedback. Okay, this is what I like, this is what I didn't, and why. That way they can make the changes and tailor things that will actually benefit the community and not just on a whim. Point number 10, manual combat requirement. There's the fear that the mode will become a second job because manual play is required to manage Maestro's rage and wrath. That is 100% understandable. Especially since we're not sure how it works yet. And I would imagine, especially early on when we're still feeling out the mode, that it will be a little bit daunting trying to figure out what the best plan of attack is and why. Um, I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Again, that doesn't mean that you can't just throw 5 teams in there and go on auto and try to overpower it. You would have to lower the difficulty, more than likely, and just do just that, just try to overpower it. But if you want the most rewards, they're letting us know the effort that's involved. Again, maybe what could happen here is instead of a 4-day thing, maybe it could be an 8-day thing where each piece is 2 days long. Then we would have time to dig into it if it becomes a little bit more challenging instead of being forced into a 24-hour period. I understand that. But as far as the second job, no, I mean, I do get it. I do get it. I am concerned about that myself. How much effort is it going to take? I'm excited for it. It's, again, this is the type of style of game that I grew up playing. So I enjoy that. But when it's compressed into a time schedule, that's where the things get difficult. I think overall, we're going to enjoy the boss. There'll be a different feel, a different strategy, and it's going to be enjoyable trying to figure out how to maximize those hit windows and things like that. That's usually very fun for people when they play games that work that way. However, right, if it takes, half hour, 45 minutes, something like that, that might be a little much. So yeah, speak on that one for sure. I would agree. Speak on that one. We'll see if maybe it's something that can get tweaked, but at the same time, we don't know until we see it. So those are 10 points that we have for you right now. Continue to keep things coming. Continue to search the internet, keep stuff coming. We're going to try to answer questions, things of that nature, if we can. But if you're enjoying Marvel Strike Force right now, I just want to say that's okay. If you're feeling a little frustrated about what's going on, that's okay too. Overall, just like anything else, if this is a hobby that we enjoy, we'll work through it together. We'll continue to make it fun. Guaranteed. That part isn't an issue. The part that's an issue is we have to make sure we're communicating effectively. Keep airing those grievances, especially in a respectful manner. Ask them to build the game that you want to play. So that's all I have for this video. But if you haven't seen this other video right here, please check it out. It's legit.